Yeah, and it's been a friendship that, I mean, we've really like nurtured each other. Francois had never done canvases before. Now he does canvases, and now he's like showing me a thing or two, which I'm like always amazed. But I just want to say I love this man. He's one of my dearest, dearest friends. And I'm just going to say, Francois Dubeau.
So we're all here for the lecture on dog training? Long lecture. Okay. My artwork. The show's called The Beautiful Accident because all my artwork starts from a random line. Every piece, be it a color or black and white, always starts with a random line. I work exclusively with a graphic tablet, which is basically just a tablet wired to a computer with a pressure-sensitive pen. I developed that technique after being really unhappy working with China ink. I started working with China ink, working with using random lines, working from random accidents. I wasn't happy with it because I would always have to censor myself. If I had something really interesting going, then you want to push it further, but you're afraid that you're going to make a mistake, and then of course you're going to make a mistake because you're pulling back. Because anything you do with ink, you can't retouch it, you're stuck with it. With the digital pen, I can explore movement without ever worrying that the line will screw up the drawing. So there's absolutely no censorship on the line. I can redo a line hundreds of times, always with a very loose gesture, always with a very fluid movement, until at one point there's one that works. What often happens is, if I can't get it, I'll get angry, and then I do something else, and whoa, this is way more interesting, and then I put everything aside and I go in these new directions. I'll have creative sessions where I have dozens of drawings that come out from one line because it just had me going in a bunch of different directions. All my pieces start as black and white, even the color ones. They always start as a black and white piece. And I always work my pieces to work as if it was an abstract piece. To me, the graphic composition of the piece has to stand on its own, even if there was no layer of meaning, even if it was an abstract. The meaning is just icing on the cake to me. I always work to try to really get the balance, the flow, exactly as if I was doing an abstract. When I work on the color, which is new, I've been doing color for maybe a year and a half. Reason being that I'm colorblind. So color has always been kind of a painful zone for me. When I was a kid, if I had colored pencils that had the color on it, I would be fine. Because I knew the sky is blue, the leaves are green, and people are not green. But when they got worn down and the name disappeared, then the color got really screwy. And then everybody would say, yeah, Francois doesn't know his colors. So to me, colors were always a bit of a touchy subject. So I always played with little touches of colors, and it sucked. And I tried to work with a black and white and just putting little dashes of colors. And every single time I felt that it was weaker than just a black. It's the day I understood that I just had to turn up the color. I didn't have to be weak. It had to be bold for it to work for me. Color blindness is a bit of a misnomer, and then again, it's not. it's a bit like being hard of hearing. When someone grows old, they lose sensitivity, usually in the higher frequencies. So they're actually deaf to high frequencies, but they're not technically deaf. You can talk with them and they still understand. But they'll need to turn up the volume. To me, with colors is the same thing. There are shades of red. I have a deficiency in reds. There's lots of reds I don't see. It's very apparent to me in colors that have red in them, like mauve, where I'll see it as blue. I don't see the red within the mauve. Once I understood that for me to work, I just have to pump up the volume like your hard-of-hearing grandmother just pumps up the volume on the TV set. It was like a blinding flash in the office. And it came from working with photography. I do photography for fun. And working with photography on Photoshop, I'd always put the saturation slider all the way to the end and to have really bold colors. And so when I discovered, hey, that's for me, that's the way to work colors, then it became natural. The color work is like the black and white. I always start strictly with the black and white. Same idea. I do a composition. It has to be a graphic composition that works even if it were to be abstract. The only difference is that I make myself on the computer screen a canvas that has a frame on it. That cuts out the lines once I go out of the frame. When I work with the black and white, I don't have a specific size. I work and I just move, my canvas becomes bigger as the drawing evolves. With the black and white, I really have a specific size. And so where I try to do zones. Instead of just doing lines, I really try to do zones that intersect. And again, that work kind of like an abstract piece. Once I have a black and white piece that I like, then I add colors at random. They're random colors. I just pick and choose colors without really looking. And I work from what I have there. I literally paint myself in the corner and have to wiggle out of it. From the colors that I put at random, then I look, okay, what doesn't work? I remove what doesn't work. I keep the ones that I find work. Sometimes I'll move them and say, till the end, it's a very long process. It's extremely inefficient, but it allows me to have pieces where there's never really a recipe. I never work with, I'll put the blue with complementary color and I'll do a triad. No, I understand nothing of color science. To me, it's just my eye that works. And by pinking myself in the corner, I have to work with it. So it gives me green ribbon, but I like the green leaf. Came random and I worked with it. That's pretty much how I work. Any questions?
What size tablet do you use?
I have a whole collection. But if you go out in an artist's workshop, how many paintbrushes do you have?
Probably around 400.
Do you have paintbrushes that are really grungy and gnarly and moldy,
Yep.
but they have something special?
Yeah.
I have graphics tablets that are so old, they have holes in them. The surface is pitted, and the pens don't work well. The cables are taped, and they're tiny. And it does something different. When I work with this one, it's like working with a piece of chalk. I have a larger one, which I use the most because it's just comfortable, and it's got more programmable buttons. But sometimes I'll just take another one which is same model but smaller. For some reason, no, it doesn't react the same. Just sometimes having a smaller tablet, your gestures have to be smaller. It's not the same. With the bigger, it's bigger movement. It's not the same. I move them around at random. Sometimes I work on the laptop. I just rigged up something where I can put a graphics tab over the keyboard, and so I can work in the sofa, and it doesn't do the same thing as if I work on the desk. It's exactly like different tools. And it's so, people think, oh, it's digital. You can just press a button. No, it's not. I really call it my gesture capturing device because it's so sensitive. Sometimes I start a drawing and I'm in a specific mood. The lines will flow a specific way. Like if you draw and you're in a specific mood, the lines are not going to be the same. And if another day I try to rework on the partial drawing and I'm not in the same mood, the tablet knows it and the lines don't work. They just don't work. I have tons of partial drawings where if I'm not exactly in the same mood, I'm not able to get the same kind of dynamics in the lines. There's so many dynamics in the thickness, in the way you go from thin to thick, and in the movement. It's a very, very special tool. And it's extremely limited. You have to learn to work with its limits. Like a charcoal is not a paintbrush. Compared to a paintbrush, a charcoal is extremely limited. But for some things on a really textured paper, the chalk is going to, the cut charcoal is going to give you way more feeling than the paintbrush. So they all have their strengths. That tool has a great strength. You have to learn to use it. It's like learning to do a kind of artwork. You can't go from acrylic painting to watercolors. It's a paintbrush, it's colors on a surface. It has nothing in common. You will suck at watercolor for the first 2 years of your life because watercolor is a fucking hard. The graphics tablet, it took me 2 years where I kept zero artwork. I knew that was the tool I needed. It took me 2 years to get enough of mastery of it to see, no, I have some stuff that's coming. It's a very misunderstood tool. People think it's used mostly by engineers and draftsmen. More and more artists are using them. They're incredibly powerful. I could talk about the canvases a bit. The canvases, I use the drawing that I do on the graphics tablet as if it was a sketch. When you do a painting, you start by doing a sketch. It's very rare that you're going to go straight to your painting and just blast away. Usually, you're going to do a sketch, and you're going to do some tryouts, and you kind of know what you do. So the drawing I did on the computer served as a sketch. And then I hand painted it onto a canvas. I use unstretched canvas, so it's just a loose piece of cloth. The background, I paint a very, very warm shade of white. It's not white, there's a slight yellow in it. I apply the background with a big paint gun. It's actually a paint gun used to paint furniture or cars, to get a really uniform matte background. And then I paint the black lines over it using the drawing as the sketch. The black lines are usually at least 3 coats of black colored paint, and then I put paint over the black lines another 3 coats of varnish, finishing with the extra gloss coat of varnish, so that the black lines really pop out over the. That's a bug. Just let it go. So that the black lines really. I wanted the canvases to have something more than the prints. Oh yeah, I have to talk about the prints. Once I do a piece of drawing, I have to output it. So I went to all the high-end shops where they charge you a fortune, and I could never get anything to my satisfaction. So they just had to buy the printers. So I have a bunch of huge printers that cost me a fortune. And I make them do stuff they don't want to do, especially for the black and whites, so that the blacks are really velvety. The settings are really crazy, and the printers don't want to do it it's exactly the same process as someone who does etching. When you do etching, you work usually on the metal plate. You etch your drawing on the metal plate. And then you put ink on the metal plate and print it on pieces of paper. Even if the artist works directly on the metal plate is not considered the artwork. It's considered strictly a matrix. It receives the lines, it receives the ink. The artwork is the print. It's where the ink goes on the piece of paper. If you print 10 prints, they're called multiple originals. They're all of equal value. And the plates at the end, normally you destroy it, and you just keep the prints. When you work with digital work, the computer file is called the virtual reference. The file is not the artwork. The artwork is what you're going to be printing. So, so the prints are a limited number. They're numbered. They're all equal value originals. Exactly the same logic as printmaking. And it's the same process. I'll print a test print. I'll see where there are mistakes, where there are holes, where the black lines, especially the thin lines, are not okay, where I see things that the printer is going to do. But then I go back to the file, modify it, print again. A printmaker does the same thing. They'll work over and over again on their metal plate until they have a perfect print. They print printer's proof. It's the same process. I always spend an enormous time working on printing to make sure the output is exactly the way I want it. I had to relearn with color because obviously what I did to print those sucks when I print those. So it's a different paper. I tried probably around 50 different kinds of paper to get the one I wanted. This one, the color paper comes from Italy. The black and white comes from Germany. They're high-end, high-quality papers. And that's it. I'm a perfectionist freak. And I think it shows in the... You're late.
Hang on, sorry.
You're going to go to parking. You're going to go to detention.
That's okay. Used to that.
Any questions? Did I talk too much?
Very fair. What, do you have a favorite? I mean, do you, I mean, and I'm sure it's hard to say because I ask that of every artist, but I mean, because there's times with your work that I like your lines that are very fine, and then there's times I like your lines that are very bold, and then there's times now that I'm digging your color, but, I mean, it's kind of like apples and oranges and grapefruits, I guess, or peaches.
I like the food analogy. It's a bit like the nutritional pyramid. You need a bit of everything. The black and white, I have huge fun doing the black and white. The color is a real challenge. For me, the color is still extremely hard. And to get the colors right is days of work to get colors right from just one piece. So I have fun doing the black and white and the color. Which is my favorite piece? The very latest, every time. The very latest always. There's a couple where I know I really fucking nailed it. I am never going to do something in that theme that's going to be better. So, and sometimes it just happens. Whoops, sometimes something happens. No, the favorite is the latest one, usually.
You talked about moods earlier.
Yeah?
Do you have like a specific mood that you're in when you work in color or when you work in black and white or?
When I'm really in the creative mode, I like to work in a frame of mind that is not optimal. Meaning, if you're really, it's after you had your breakfast, good night's sleep, you had a shower, you're full of energy, you're our person inside. Because your mind is sharp, your mind is all there, you're going to overanalyze, you're going to be over conscious of what you're doing. I like to work when I'm really, really, really tired. After a hard day's work, I don't want to go drawing. I will force myself to go drawing. And sometimes I'll end up in bed at 5 in the morning. After a while, you're not even there anymore. The hand just moves. You're just in a daze. It's really a daze. It's just really fatigue-induced. It's not drugs, it's not alcohol that kind of give a weird vibe. This just makes your part of the conscious part of your brain is kind of asleep. The conscious part of your brain is in bed. And there's kind of an automatic. I like to call some of my artwork modern cave paintings, because I really tried to go to what you have in your primitive brain. What did cave painters paint? Stuff about hunting and sex. That was pretty much it. That's what I do. It's animals and it's sex related. Why? Because it speaks to our most basic interests, to our most basic urges. We don't have to analyze it. You see it as, hey, tits. You don't have to really see what was the artist trying to say. Just look, hey, it's balanced and it's a naked chick. It works as an abstract piece. It's kind of abstracted in a way, and it's got a nice diagonal, and the two nipples do another diagonal, and it's got really nice movement. So it could be an abstract piece, and it would still work. I try to do work that you don't overanalyze, so I put myself in a mood where I am not analyzing. I've done pieces where I was pissed off, angry, and it's the same thing. When you're angry, there's a whole part of your brain that just shuts down. You're not analyzing anymore. And so you just take the pen and it does old lines, it does something different. So if I'm going to work on the colors, I'm going to try to do it after breakfast when I'm in good shape, because that's really tough. And that's a lot of brain power in getting colors to work, especially for me, because I start from -50 because I'm colorblind, so it takes a lot of work. But I find it's a very, very strong creative tool to be in a state of mind that is not optimal. I like to have a very, very small sandbox to work from. That way, I purposely limit my choices. I purposely paint myself in a corner because it directs where I'm going to go. So if I always start from a random line, I find it's way more easy than sitting at a white page and saying, what am I going to do? And it just opens the door to what. For years it was just black and white. It was a conscious decision. I wanted to have something really simple, black and white, subject matter, animals, sex. It's limiting your choices, helps you to just concentrate on those choices. I also do photography for fun. Same thing. I put myself the conscious limit that I use only one lens. That's it. If I want to do a photo and I would need the 300 millimeter, but I don't have it, I'm going to have to find something else. It just forces you to use your imagination because you're painting in the corner. You don't have an infinity of possibilities, which can be a problem when you work with a computer because the possibilities are endless. You can do whatever you want. I mean, there's some artwork that people do with computers that problems. And I find it so complex and it's got texture and blah, blah, blah. No, I decided my colors are going to be flat. There is no texture. It's completely flat. The value here is the same as here and here. That's a conscious decision. I wanted to limit my choices because that way I don't have to bother about that aspect. I work with the colors. I don't have to bother about, oh, is that color melding to the other one? No. Maybe one day, I don't know. Anything else?
It's really great to hear that you give detailed explanations. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, that's the part where you analyze it. And that's important. You have to analyze it. You have to know what you do. Look at it, and in a way it helps a lot that you have someone from the outside doing it for you. Every artist has to have his text explaining who they are, what they do. I have a friend who's a museologist, and she said, the most stupid thing is that we expect artists to do it for themselves. They should hire someone else to do it for them, because they're too close, they can't see the trees for the forest. And I've had a friend do that. And the things she found out were, hey, it's true. At first, what's that bullshit? No, it's true. It really has that logical progress. Once you know it, it kind of helps you direct where you want to go. And it helps you in breaking the mold and saying, yeah, I'm not supposed to do colors because in my artist bio I don't do colors, but hey, I'm going to do colors anyway. Hi, Lulu. You're like,
I know.
you're going to detention and rat.
So anyone else have any questions or?
I always ask all the artists I do lectures at gallery, which piece is your favorite?
Haha, I asked that one.
Oh.
Sorry. I didn't warn you. We got it on film.
And then the answer is that the latest one is always the favorite.
Well, I want to thank Francois. We came down from Montreal.
Yeah.
And this has been a show that he's been planning on for a while. I gotta say, I was really surprised when he said he was going to do color. I was like, what? I was like, oh. And I gotta say, I really am blown away by the work. So, thank you, Francois.
I am working to do some of them on canvas. I wanted to do them really huge, but the technique's not there yet because it's so different than doing the black and white canvases. It's a hard edge technique to get the flat colors just right. It is a fucking pain. And my basement is filled with trashed canvases that didn't work.
Are you making stencils?
Yeah, I print out the lines on whatever piece of paper. I put masking tape on a cutting board. I draw the line on it. And then with the knife, that's where I have the free gesture. It has to be one swoop. And to get it, I mean, it's dozens of times of rip up the tape, start again, take the cutting mat again, put the piece, again. And it doesn't really follow the line precisely, but it has to prove. And then pasting it on the canvas and using zillions of silly techniques to get the hard edge. It's a pain. But when it works, it's gorgeous.
And it's times too when there's been commissioned pieces like 6 feet tall, and the person who's getting the piece is just really excited, can't wait to get it. And so I'll call Francois. I don't want to mess with the artist's process or anything, but I'll call Francois. I'm like, so Francois, how's it going? I don't like my line. I started over. I'm like, oh God, okay. But it is. It comes out at the end as just perfection. And I mean, the people who actually do get the canvases, they usually get one, and then they get another. And it's amazing because with his artwork, they actually begin to tell stories depending on how you pair the images up. I mean, it's just a phenomenal.
Doing the black and whites, when I paint the black and white canvases, now I have to be really sharp don't do it when I'm tired at night. It's in the afternoon with lots of sun and with 1 or 2 glasses of wine. Just to make the hand smoother. But never more than 2, because then the hand is... And I've had, I don't do it always, but sometimes when I ship the artwork, I stick on the back the label of the wine bottle. It was used to paint it. So I've had some where there were several labels because I screwed it, and I wasn't happy with it. I trashed it and started from scratch. I have one at home in my basement, but that wasn't right. It's rolled in the rocks.
Your large canvas, are you doing a full figure or are you still zoomed in as on your rest of your color work?
When I'm working,
On the large canvas. I mean, from your line work, from the black and white, you're full figures, with the color work, it seems more zoomed in.
yeah, well,
Detail work
it is.
closer
Yeah,
work.
it is zoomed in. So when I do the color work,
On your large canvas,
it goes all the way to the sides.
but it's still a zoom in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's if I do this one, I may do a bit more, but what's more is going to be on the sides. So it really goes all the way to the edge and on the sides.
I like your switch, your change, your black and white pieces.
I try
Going into that.
I tried to get the same groove going, but at the same time that it has to be different. It's something else. So yeah, it's kind of like if you cropped a bit of a larger drawing, which you don't get with the black and white, except for that one over there where I crop the hair. That's the exception. Usually my black and white work really is in the middle of the page with white all around. And the color is exactly the opposite. It's always cropped.
Was it a conscious effort, or did it just...
It's conscious because I want to have a zone. When I do the black lines, I'm thinking, I'm gonna have to go out because I want to have a zone here. I always want to have black that separates the colors. I never want to have 2 colors touching. The only exception is this one where I did lines white instead of black. It's kind of a negative space. But it's still the same process where the construction of the lines really keeps the colors from touching one. The colors never touch one. Even here in those little pieces, there's a very thin black line and it's there. That's a constraint I consciously put on it. It makes it harder, but it's the constraint I want with that style.
The line is first in your mind, and then the color fills in
Yes.
after that.
And when I work with those, I'm thinking it has to make a shape, a cutout, which is with the black and white is not, where it is just free lines, they're just free form. And sometimes with the black and white, less with the color, but I may do it with the color. With the black and white, sometimes I use a process which I call the Kerplunk process. Everybody's seen friends who or made themselves or making a drawing, and at one point it's perfect. But the person keeps going on, and they keep going on, and then it starts going down the hill, and then it really sucks. Sometimes I'll have drawings that have zillions of lines, they're really complex, and then I use the Kerplunk method. Remember Kerplunk? The game Kerplunk? It was an acrylic tube. It had tiny holes in the middle part, and you thread needles through that middle part, and then you pour marbles. They were kept in there by the needles, and each player would remove a needle, and you try not to get the marbles to fall. And at one point, you remove just one needle, and all the marbles fall. Kerplunk, you lose. Sometimes I'll do that with the drawings. I will remove lines with a drawing with tons of lines. Until Kerplunk, the drawing doesn't work anymore. I removed one too many. And then I'll put back one. And another one. and just keep it the simplest. I'll make different versions and I'll keep the one where the message gets across, but with the least amount of lines. It's the same idea of resuming an idea by written form. It's way easier to explain how an engine works in 3,000 words than in 50. If you can explain in 50 words how an engine works, you're a really good writer, but it's going to have taken you a long time, and you're going to have 75 drafts of your bloody 50-word text. If you have 5,000 words, you're going to blah, blah, blah. It's much easier. It's the same thing. Doing something really simple with a few lines is a huge amount of work because there's no space for error. You can't hide it with other lines. If you look at some of the drawings there, there's a very simple cap. There's one there, which is just one line in that cap. There's no room for error because it's going to be in your face. Error! So doing very simple stuff, it's really, really hard. It's tons of version. It's like a ballet dancer who's doing just one move. It's going to have to be perfect. So they're going to have to be repeating it millions of times. So when they get on stage and they do it, it still looks fresh, but it's perfect. So it's the same thing. Doing simple stuff is the toughest. It's really tough. Except for the color work. This is a pain. Putting a lot of colors is really hard. To not get a lot of different colors and they don't clash. To my eye, maybe non-colorblind people think, no, they clash, it's horrible.
Well, this one's pretty intricate as well.
Yeah.
I mean, so basically,
I have zillions of versions of that.
So basically, too, what you're saying is you could actually remove the color, and then you still have a piece that can stand on its own in black and white.
Not with the color.
No?
If I try to add color to a black and white piece, it doesn't work. It's weaker. If I remove the color from the color work, it's weaker.
Okay.
If it had been stronger with just a black and white, I wouldn't have put the color. But really, if you remove the color, it loses a huge dimension.
I had a couple of people ask that earlier, so now I know. Cool. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, we have sexy robot T-shirts honoring Francois. Yeah, and he'll sign it. You can wear it. He'll sign it.